I'm Iku. Sorry, not in London, I'm in Oxford. Today, I think after that you have Lorraine and Mícheál is doing some demonstration of easy Kintsugi.
Yes.
So, and then talk about, I've heard that talk about wabi and sabi and the philosophy of Kintsugi.
Yes.
If possible, I'm gonna listen it. I'm very interested in it. I'm a repairer, Kintsugi repairer, and also I'm teaching how to do the Kintsugi. Usually, easy way, because the traditional way is, I'll show you later, traditional way is, it's a time consuming and lot of materials you need, you have to collect and a lot of, yes, basically a lot of practices. So, once I learned what is, I started actually easy Kintsugi using Epoxy Glue and Epoxy putty and fix all plate, but finally using the traditional way and then apply metal brushing and metal powder. First I started with that method, and that was really fun. And I just thought, why don't you do it, this one? And anybody can fix their own plate, which broken once, or twice, 3 times. So I started exploring the materials and tried to introduce this easy Kintsugi to mainly UK and travel to Italy and Spain as well. So first maybe I'm avoiding to do the wabi-sabi side and tea ceremony side, but I need to maybe explain how Kintsugi started because a lot of people have they think it was a recent movement, so they think it started ancient or just started recent. So it's, does it work? Okay, working. So, little by little, toward the end of the 16th century, when the Civil War era was intimate settings between shogun and daimyo. As you know, tea ceremony was a spiritual ritual that required one to be stripped of their status and aside the current affair, current event, usually war, and somebody died, somebody killed. Here, this is as you know, this is a tea room where the shogun or daimyos or somebody who has a power in the local had a meeting. They forget everything and leave your sword or any weapon outside, and they had a meeting the tea ceremony like a spiritual ritual. Did tea inside of this kind of small, tiny room. I think this is a Rikyu's tea room. Of course, it's not original, but small one anyway. And just a moment. This is Sen no Rikyu. So somebody has a really know about tea ceremony among you, so I won't talk too much. And quite often the tea bowls are broken. No, just a minute. So tea bowls is the most important gift from the shogun to daimyo or somebody who has power to the regard as a royalty. So once it breaks, you have to repair, but not just not repair. You have to repair it nicely. So they started using gold to repair. Actually, some Kintsugi repair is still remained here, and one of the very famous Kintsugi repaired bowl. Koetsu, Seppo, Snow Ridge. Actually, it's broken in the kiln, and then Koetsu himself, he's a potter, and himself fixed with Kintsugi. So already, I don't know when it's done, but anyway, already this time of the era, so already Kintsugi is a quite popular way of fixing. Yeah. Come on. This one, yeah. Another one. I don't know when it's fixed, but it's very famous Kintsugi bowl. You can see everything. Here is a small Kintsugi, and there's another piece inserted called Yobitsugi. And here is a urushi tsugi, using urushi, the glue only. This is a yobitsugi only, and then yobitsugi and fixed with urushi only. Uraksai, by Uraksai. This is the oldest yobitsugi piece. I don't know when it's made, but it's as a record. This is the oldest one. I think this one is also Uraksai, Yobitsugi, and then gold repair. This is mine. No, sorry. Rack table, and not only fixing, also you can do some kind of artistic work as well. But actually, this is originally the blade like this, so I painted, try to imitate as like an old plum tree. And another Kintsugi, not really exactly Kintsugi, another repair. The top handle is completely gone. Sorry, this is also my work. Handle is completely gone. And then make, how do you call it? This neck with putty, and then covered with gold, fixed, applied gold, finished with gold, and on top I put the crystal stone. So they are all used epoxy glue, epoxy putty, and then finally used urushi and then gold. So it doesn't need to be traditional material. You can use a lot of fun things using easy Kintsugi set. This one actually I did everything with traditional material because and then gold powder, gold leaf and gold powder. This is one of my daughter's work. Another one. This one is my work. It's silver. Finished with silver. So we call this one Kintsugi. Actually, kin is gold, and gin is silver. So we just specialize call this one Kintsugi using silver leaf powder. And I think 3 century from Portugal or something, but it's like a Morocco style. Can you see? I fixed once. The previous photo, as you see, you saw already, and then this returned. They knocked down this plate. I don't know where they put it. It's 3rd century's gold. Knocked down and came back here again. So I'm working on this one now. But unfortunately, you can't do traditional anymore. It's already it's restored, and a lot of material, different material, put them together. So I had to use epoxy glue, unfortunately. There's a it's once restored, I think, and then came to me, and fixed with Kintsugi way, and then broke it again. They broke it. broke it again. What is urushi? I keep saying urushi. This is how to, I don't know how to call it, how to take urushi from the urushi tree. You scratch the urushi tree's bark, and then the tree itself, some chemical reaction, and they make a urushi glue inside of this bark. So waited, the person who take the urushi from the bark, they are specialized. They have to cut and then wait until the urushi make glue. Urushi tree makes glue on its own, and then little by little, they take the glue out of this bark. Can you see? You see the white dropping stuff. This is glue, and eventually becomes urushi. So this is a factory of urushi factory. So processed from that glue, and we call it still. We call it already it's urushi, and processed inside of this barrel. It's very old barrel covered with urushi because it's making urushi now. This is a guy making, and he's a president of this company. How to repair? First, how to repair old broken plate. By the way, Kintsugi is not the restoration; it's repair. Restoration is you have to preserve your original style. Right? You can put it into the showcase. But Kintsugi is a repair and then reuse. So it doesn't need to be original style. As far as you can fix nicely, beautiful, and it becomes beautiful, and after that you use it again. And it's called mugi urushi as well. Mugi urushi, nori urushi, doesn't matter. So this one is starch glue, rice glue, or binding glue maybe. I think binding glue also you can use for this one mixture. Then mixed with now urushi. Urushi, as you can already know, it's a type of glue. So still mix with glue, and to make first mix. Then this is too soft, too runny. So to make a little bit body into the glue, I mixed with sometimes rice powder, often flour or flour. So mix it. So you have actually mix almost 10 minutes. You don't want to see mixing 10 minutes without drinking your wine. Then let's say, okay, I mixed 10 minutes. So it actually has to be very sticky, but it's still. No, it's very round. Still, it's like a little running. And just Then after that, actually before that I have to treat the surface, but again it takes 1 day to treat and wait. So put the glue, and then another glue, another side glue. Then have to wait half an hour. You don't want to wait another half an hour. So let's go. Push together. After that, usually I put masking tape and wait. Masking tape and wait for, I don't know, a couple of hours and remove this excess and leave in a safe place for about a week or two. Usually a week is fine. And as you see on the photo, and then after that you have to clean the surface. And then next one, filler called coxo or putty called sabi, depending on how big the break is. So every time you have to wait half an hour, and then next one is half an hour, and then following day, and then after that 10 hours, and then week. So you, in the busy life, you can't do it. So I started exploring this easy kintsugi using epoxy glue. I think you're gonna see later after this my lecture. Okay, so keep there. Do I have time? Shall I do the gold application?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Before that, I will show a little bit. Just a minute. First, gold application, and then you understand what's happening there. I'm not sure. If I can do it now, but anyway, I will show you just how to do it. So this is the actual gold powder. So gold powder is here. Then I already, can you see a little bit red part of the plate on this jam. So earlier I painted red urushi. It's called Bengara urushi. So base urushi on top. By the way, some part are black, so this part is only I applied red urushi. And after 1 hour, I've been kept in the box in 1 hour. And then any mistake stays on that surface. Okay, fine. So this is how how to finish kintsugi. After the prepare, you paint the urushi several times, like 4 or 5 times. Each time you polish it, and you polish or sand it, and then final application of urushi, and then gold dust on top. So lot of people think we mix gold powder in the resin called urushi resin or some resin, but actually urushi is glue. So you attach that gold powder onto that glue. So you've done before the birthday card, glue and then glitter on top of the happy birthday. Exactly same work is happening now. And after that, keep in the box for a week and seal the and then usual. You can finishing. Yeah. This is a typical.
We're going to be doing the demo. We're going to talk a little bit about Senno-Riku as well. Iku-san talked a bit about that. He perfected the tea ceremony and how he relates to Kintsugi. The philosophy of wabi-sabi, appreciating the simplicity and accepting imperfection, that kind of stuff, and how that relates to Kintsugi philosophy, and how all of this relates to the modern life.
So Mícheál's just going to start with the synthetic demonstration. He's going to repair, might I add, industrialized cup. Oh, yes. It's not even handmade. So he'll explain while he's repairing it and while we're waiting for the drying process to happen, which is obviously a lot quicker than the authentic technique. I'll run through a little bit of history about Senno-Riku and wabi-sabi, etc.
Great. So I think you heard Riku talking about the epoxy glue a lot. So this is it, or sometimes called epoxy resin. So it comes in two parts, and you just mix it together, and they become very adhesive. So it comes in a wee box like this, and it takes about 15 minutes to set. So I'll mix this now. It'll take about a minute, I think.
Where do you get it in?
Where did we get this one?
Online. Online. Usually you can buy epoxy glue, but it's 5 minutes fix, and it's too quick. So yeah. I look for the more longer and also it is a food safe standard, so I think it's better.
So I'll talk a little bit more while I'm mixing this. So you would usually sand the edges, the broken edges that you want to fix as well. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm not going to do that just because it takes a bit longer. So simply after mixing the two, you would apply to the breakage. Just thinly.
So Mícheál, you apply it to the broken side and you apply it to the cup as well, is that right? Or one side will do?
Yeah. One side's enough, yeah.
So again, obviously if you're practicing the authentic technique, that process of mixing the original flour, water and urushi would take maybe 15 or 20 minutes. But here, we're cheating tonight, of course. It was interesting, the day we were practicing last week at mixing the flour and water, and we had to get it to like a chewing gum consistency before we could apply it. And Mícheál and the others, they were just doing very methodically and all. And me and my rush, totally not Kintsugi like. I was mixing it like the hammers of hell, thinking, well, I'll get this done quicker. And it ended up rising like a loaf of bread. It was all air pockets, and I had to start again. So Kintsugi is not about rushing. There's no fast way of doing it. So there's a bit of philosophy behind there. Do you think, is that ready to apply, or will I go on ahead and talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, go on ahead. So yeah, just the whole thing about it is just move it around until it fits perfectly, and then hold it firmly for about a minute or two, and it should be able to sit on its own. And you'll let that sit for 15 minutes.
So, Iku already mentioned a little about Senyu Riku, and he was the one that perfected, or should I say, redesigned the tea ceremony and brought it back to its original simplistic roots, like how the Zen masters wanted it to be. He redefined the tea ceremony by connecting his thoughts to the everyday person through that tea practice. So what he wanted to do is take like a menial task and add thoughtfulness and mindfulness to it. And by doing that, he emphasised like a consoling and therapeutic nature and bringing intention sort of to everything that you did. All right. Want to go on ahead?
Yeah.
All right. He also, now obviously there was a connection between China and Japan, but Zen masters just felt that the Chinese were in seek of perfection of everything, and what these philosophers wanted to do was not so much reject perfectionism, but they thought that it wasn't realistic in everyday life, and that's why they latched on to this idea of Kintsugi, because it was broken and it was imperfect. The last one, there was a little story about Senyu Riku was travelling through southern Japan, and he was invited into like a wealthy merchant's house, and obviously the wealthy merchant wanted to show his prized possessions, and he had this antique vase that he got from China, very expensive, and he had this sitting out in Senyu Riku's eye view. But of course, Senyu Riku sat the whole time and looked out the window and talked philosophically about a branch swaying in the breeze. So when Senyu Riku left, the wealthy merchant, he broke the vase in rage, but luckily enough, the guests, they gathered up the pieces and they heard obviously of this Kintsugi technique, and they repaired the vase. And the next time that Riku was visiting through the area, he called again with the wealthy merchant, and of course the first thing he did was compliment the vase and said how beautiful it was. But I think what the philosopher was actually trying to do wasn't so much compliment the vase, but he was reflecting on the growth of the merchant himself. He acknowledged his frustration and his anger by having the bowl repaired and having it displayed again. And so he was like, emphasised his weakness and that he grew from it. I think that's what he was trying to say. So we'll go back now. Will we go back now and you can apply the next stage?
So after the weight, you would apply this acetone or white spirit or anything like that to clean up any sort of resin that's being pushed out.
Cheap nail polish works as well.
Yes.
Nail polish remover.
Oh, nail polish remover. Sorry, and the remover got on there too. Nail polish might have a slightly different effect. It'll definitely be unique. Use nail polish.
Even faster version.
So yeah, the next part is then applying the urushi, which we talked about, the lacquer, to highlight the cracks. We'll be using the same urushi as well that Iku was talking about, the Bengala urushi, which a minute or so. I clearly didn't read it properly, and it really,
even if you remove that.
Yeah, it's really quite bad, and yeah, never do a patch test with urushi. It just really spreads, you know. It's oil, so yeah, be very careful.
Just assume that you're allergic to it and wear the gloves.
So you only need really a little bit. That would do like a whole crack. That would do this one. We'll show the other pieces as well later on. So you would grab a very fine brush like this one.
It really needs to be a good quality brush as well, doesn't it? Probably sable hair, I'd imagine, too.
I'm not sure actually what this hair is.
Okay.
Which is, so this part would take concentration and don't rush it like I'm doing. Mícheál, continue
When you're
with this process.
and then I'll go ahead and talk with him. So the meaning behind wabi-sabi, wabi just means to embrace simplicity, and the sabi just means to appreciate imperfection. The philosopher's idea behind it was that if we can be content with simplicity and imperfection, we're more likely to have inner peace, because you're learning to quieten the mind. You're not being judgmental, and therefore you're not focused on outward beauty. So I think that's what they're trying to get at now. Whether or not you can reach that through practicing Kintsugi is another thing. I mean, at the same time of Senyuriki in the East, we also had Shakespeare in the West, and obviously there would be similar philosophies. The likes of Shakespeare would have wrote, there is no such thing as good or bad. Thinking so makes it like that. So it's the same kind of principle, but I think in the Japanese, the Zen masters' philosophy filtered through to lay people because they were carried out in practical terms. It was firstly introduced to the higher echelons, but that would have filtered through, whereas in the West, I mean, most people were illiterate, so these would have been written texts and would have been maybe just confined to maybe the more elite people of society. How are you getting on there, Mícheál?
Yeah, okay.
Record-breaking time.
Yeah, preferably you might fold and take your time and stuff like that for sure. So once that's done, you wanna leave it to set in a box. It's called muro sometimes, I believe. In a box where it's kind of damp, it's humid, it's warm, and there's moisture in it. So I use that box there, polystyrene. The one I prepared earlier. With just a tinfoil lid, and I have a hot water bottle just, and a tiny wee dish of water. So you would leave that in there to cure for 15 minutes until it gets slightly hardened, but it's still sticky enough that the metal powder can be applied to it.
It's nearly like adopting a pet, you have to keep checking on it. Your box is slightly more authentic than my orange shoe box over there.
Yeah.
So the final, it's celebrating simplicity and unpretentiousness and aged objects, which leads us into how it is applicable to the Kintsugi and the application of it. And with time, we repair that damage, and we grow from it, and we come stronger from our falls. And if you want to talk, Mícheál, about the more reconciliation part, about the flaws within ourselves.
Yeah. So reconciliation then would be accepting the flaws within yourself, and how unique those scars and overcoming those obstacles makes us. How strong and how unique those scars make us. So that's what Kintsugi is all about, highlighting the cracks and seeing the beauty in that. Not disguising. Yes, the flaws?
I suppose the reflection is probably the length of time it takes to repair. I mean, like you mentioned earlier about the authentic technique, and you know, if you were applying layer upon layer, especially if it's a chip, come up to the table obviously and look at the repairs as well afterwards. The large plate. The large plate is a very quick technique of using the epoxy glue and mica powder. Now, obviously, here in the northwest, we know mica for another reason, and unfortunately, I can't use this glue to repair my house, but it helps me. The philosophy behind this is helping me with the broken home that I love. There's obviously the opportunity, if you wanted this quick repair, to use the epoxy glue and then the coloured mica on it. Interestingly, mica was used in Japanese prints. You put a template over the main part of the picture, and then you put the metal mica dust over the top of that. So that was being used centuries ago, because the Japanese loved their lustre and everything had to shine. That's why they use the mica, because it's a metallic substance. So that's just another little fact.
And it's also food safe, isn't it? I don't know if
no, I'm not too sure. No, I don't know if this mica is food safe, is it? I know they use...
Yeah, mica itself is food safe, but the coloring stuff,
right,
not sure. So a lot of mica powder, colored mica powder used for the
cosmetics.
Yeah,
yes,
so
yeah.
I think that those are...
Should be okay.
Yeah, should be okay.
Yeah. You can put mica in on your face, but you can't put it on your walls.
Maybe you want to break
in anger. Yes.
Is your house in Donegal?
It's an up-and-out No, there's no houses here in Derry, is there? I'm not aware. No, I don't think so, no.
You better not tell the Irish government about Kintsugi, or they'll say it's...
Oh, yeah, repaired it. They'll be handing us a tube of glue.
It looks great.
So yeah, I would normally brush off the kind of excess at this stage, because the urushi shouldn't be so sticky, but it is because we didn't give it enough time. But after, we'll leave it in there again for I don't know, a day or two, and then you can brush off the excess gold powder then. So that's kind of the end of the process as far as the repairing goes. Yeah. Is that all?
So I think that's it.
The time is up, but if you have some quick questions, all right? And the people can come and
yes,
see.
Of course.
Some work here, and also if you are lucky and over 60, if you are over 60 years old, in October is the positive aging month, and we will organize Kintsugi and some other Japanese craft workshop. So I will inform you, so please join. And also that if you are interested in Kintsugi and want to start learning, we have at this moment 5 members of our Kintsugi team, and so you are more than welcome to join and learn together for the journey of Kintsugi. Okay, I think that's us.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And